They're all short-term flyable stored. Over on the left side are wings for the A-10. The A-10 came out back in the 1970s. It was used extensively as a close ground support aircraft in the first Gulf War, 91 through 92, etc. We used up the 6,000 to 8,000 hours of life on the wings, control surfaces, and other parts of the aircraft. And we're re-winging it here at this facility to put it back in the field in Iraq and Afghanistan to support our troops on the ground, and giving it another 6,000 to 10,000 hours of life. Coming up on the left side also are pylons that fit under the wing of a B-52. Each one of these pylons holds 6 cruise missiles. That's 6 under each wing, 8 cruise missiles in the revolving drum in the main bomb bay, and the fuselage for 20 cruise missiles, or about 80,000 pounds of ordnance. Okay, you can see off on the right side here, they're doing a little spray latex coating on the C-130 with the shark's teeth on the front. Those will be covered up here pretty soon. We're going to be taking a left down Celebrity Row. First aircraft on your left is the OV-1 Mohawk, flown by the Army and later by the Air Force in Vietnam as a forward air control aircraft. That's FAC, F-A-C. It flew low and slow across the weeds to spot the bad guys so that they could direct in the attack and the fighters. And if anybody had to punch out and went into the weeds, they'd stay overhead until they could bring in a rescue aircraft or protect the downed flyer. Sitting right next to it is an S-2. This is a carrier-based Navy aircraft that was used for anti-submarine warfare. In other words, this was launched from a carrier. It tracked and monitored submarines below the open ocean. And if it found one that it had to kill, it could drop ordnance on it, such as torpedoes and other ordnance, to take it out. It was replaced by the S-3 on the right side. This is the current version of the U.S. Navy anti-submarine warfare. This is a carrier-based, turbofan-driven aircraft. It's not only used for anti-submarine warfare work, but those hard points under the wings inside the bend point can hold Harpoon missiles, which will take out ships. It carries enough fuel that it can actually air-to-air refuel other aircraft coming back to the carrier. And it can also be used for electronic counter measures and jamming purposes. Okay, back on the opposite side is the 41 cargo planes. Probably one of the longest running, most highly used cargo planes around the world. Extensively during the Vietnam period. There's probably some guys on this bus who sat in those canvas seats, flying either in country or out to catch up with the Freedom Bird. Then we've got a lot of helicopters coming in. We got H-53s, and these are mostly H-53s out of the presidential fleet. And all these H-46 twin rotor jobs are with the Marine Corps. The Marines are still flying the H-46, even though the Navy retired theirs in 2005. Until they get their Ospreys. Okay, look all the way down to the right. You'll see a bunch of B-52s lined up to be chopped up, and then right in front of them are a whole bunch of green sausages. This is where we guillotine and chop up the V-52s as a part of the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, or the START Treaty with the Russians. It expires in December, and I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with it. And we've got some more 135s here that are being parted out. Now, we didn't ever rebuild the 135s, and so you need parts for these things. So the facility here has been buying 707 Boeing airliners from all over the world that are used and no longer used. And you can see there's a couple of rows coming up here on your right, just past these C-135s, that are Boeing 707 airliners from Africa, Israel, the Middle East, Central Asia, you name it. There's more than 500 of them out here, and we're using them for parts. It's cheaper to part out old airliners to keep our 135s flying than it is to build brand new ones. In fact, this facility is extremely profitable. For every dollar it takes to run this facility up until about a year ago, they were making anywhere from $12 to $20 for every dollar that was invested to run. Now they're making about $6 to $10 for every dollar. That's still a heck of a return on your investment. Here's some more C-141s on the right side. There's not much use for a lot of the big stuff off of this. The engines have already been transferred to electronics and stuff, but the rest of them are being chopped down, and they'll probably be parted out for metal value to the surplus folks. See how carefully they have drilled out the rivets and covered up the sensitive parts on these aircraft to protect them. Every piece of aircraft that is then sold to be used on another aircraft is magnafluxed, checked, made sure it meets all aeronautical standards before it's given up. You can see the F-111 aardvarks here with the variable swept wings. Obviously that's a very complicated wing package, so we've been sending a lot of those down to the Australians. Those have been stripped off. Here's some E-2 Hawkeyes. They used to have a whole bunch of radomes up on top. However, those are very expensive, very sophisticated. We take them off and sell those radomes to our allies, and they mount them on their own aircraft and turn them into AWACS, or forward air control aircraft, with the radome mounted. Here we've got some H-53, MH-53 helicopters coming in from the Navy. These were used as minesweepers. That's what the M in front of the H-53 means. They actually towed a drogue that demined harbors and areas where we had mined. Here's some H-3s with the boat hulls on them. These guys were used for combat search and rescue with the green bodies.